For my film diary, I wanted to do a rank almost of the films from best to worst in my personal opinion. And for this ranking system, I'm solely going off of a cinematic standpoint and how I feel they capture both a historically accurate depiction as well as a intriguing position of a film, because a lot of these movies were good. They were great, but quite a few of them were a little out there, and those ones are going to be in their own little category of estranged film. Uh, but I'd have to say my favorite movie we watched this semester was 100% The Captain. Captain was so good. And I usually am not the biggest fan of movies I have to read the subtitles for the whole time. It doesn't mean I don't like them. It's just typically I don't love having to read half the film and then kind of losing myself to the full view of the cinematic standpoint of the movie. So um, that one was a big one for me. I mean, that one was so awesome. I watched it like 2 or 3 times. I actually made other people watch it with me. It was a cool movie from beginning to end. The camera angles and how they filmed it in the beginning was really neat. Um, After that movie, I'm gonna be really lame and go for the American films. I love um, Inglorious Bastards. Inglorious Bastards is such a good movie. It is not historically accurate, obviously, but it is really cool because I like Quentin Tarantino's twist on historical periods in time, just like his newest one, the Hollywood film. It was really cool to see Marilyn Manson's subjects actually get destroyed rather than murder a bunch of family abuses and kill a pregnant woman. It was just like, it's just fun, it's cool, it's interesting. I don't know if I'd say it's necessarily fun, but it's an interesting viewpoint for sure. After that, I'm gonna have to go with Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit is so good. That is a movie that I watched a couple times by myself. Like, it was just beginning to end. It made me feel so many different things, from happy to sad to laughing as hard as I could. I cried when the mom died. I mean, it just really broke my heart. And then really churned my stomach and made me feel bad when he was scared to tell her that Germany had lost and ultimately she was free from him, but he didn't want her to be free from him because he loved her. I mean, that was his little rabbit, if you will. Next on that list, I have to put Dead Snow. Dead Snow is it's definitely one of my estranged films, but it was first time I watched that movie was also the first time I was drinking at a party. So I always correlate that movie with just the goofiest time of my life, just because that movie from beginning to end is, pardon my language, fucking stupid. It is a stupid movie, and every moment of that movie is just absolutely goofy as hell. Having these Hitlers be obsessed with Jew gold to the point to where they're coming back to life as zombies to get their Jew gold is just a goofy idea. The scene where the zombie bites that dude's penis is just it's so dumb, and I can't not laugh just thinking about it. After he amputates his arm and he looks at the chainsaw and thinks about amputating his penis, it just really gets to me. It's goofy. After that one, I would have to go with Resistance. I actually never knew about that movie until this class, and I didn't even know that there were many movies that came out last year, to be frank with you. Honestly, with all the free time I had, I watched more TV shows and played more games than I probably have in my entire life, and hadn't watched any new movies. So finding out there was a movie, especially Eisenberg, which I love that guy, he's a great actor, was really cool. The movie was an interesting art film. That's for sure. But it was really neat. I loved the film. I loved how they tied everything in. The emotional capacity of the film was a little much. Watching the sister die and then watching the lady that watching Emma die next on the train was just disheartening. It just really hurt me to my core because she just had gone through so much to have that happen. Um, Next would have to be the TV show. I forget what the TV show was called. Shit. But the TV show we had to watch for the midterm was crazy. I mean, it really just it was like watching a depressing version of the Friends TV show. Watching this group have all this fun together, and then all of them live their own lives during World War II, just for the Jewish guy to get arrested at the end of the episode, and his girlfriend sleeping with the Nazi captain to get a better position acting wise, and try to get him free when she loved him, and the one brother dying and the other brother still fighting in the war. And it was just, especially when he was tasked with like keeping him safe, and then he started to regret being a Nazi after watching the Nazi captain just blow a child's head out. It was just brutal. It was a brutal video, and I had to watch it a couple times for that midterm, and every time I watched it did not get any easier in the slightest. It really just rocked me. Sorry, I'm trying to get this list back up. Indiana Jones. I like Indiana Jones. I think they're fun films. I wouldn't really consider it much of a Nazi film or historically accurate or any historical factor of that movie being remotely true, but damn if shit, what's his name? I forget the actor's name. I'm embarrassed. Indiana Jones. He's just a fantastic actor, so seeing him in a movie is always a win, and I honestly didn't love those movies growing up, so watching it again was a little more fun. Still a little gamey. It was goofy. It's a good movie. It's just not entirely my kind of film, but it's up there above the next few. Great Dictator was interesting, especially to see Charlie Chaplin play Hitler. That was a wild experience. It was a historical one, that's for sure. I liked it for that piece only. Kohlberg and Triumph of Will were both interesting in the sense that I have a note. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Kohlberg was crazy because that was the colored one. I'm sorry. And I thought it was crazy that they blew so much money and infrastructure on a film as they were losing the war, when they could have honestly used a lot of those resources to have honestly pushed not into Russia, but pushed into any other country to keep themselves afloat. But their hatred for communism clearly outgrew their thirst to win. It was a interesting last hurrah, to bring all the Germans together, that's for sure. Triumph of Will was another just purely propaganda film. It was interesting to watch it solely because Hitler wasn't going on about anti-Semitism. He wasn't talking about how much the Jews were a disgrace and all these different things. It was a hardcore focus on why he wanted the Germans to unite, to become this strong, unified nation. There were like 2 mentions of unifying the country for purity, but beyond that, it was a very mellow. Well, not mellow. He was definitely into it, but it was very mellow in the sense that I expected him to say a lot more about how Jews were demons and all that. But that was very early on when he was trying to rally everyone up to him, and he wasn't really as power crazy, I would say, at that point in time. Next is Hangman Also Dies. If you can't tell, I'm trying to figure out which ones go before The Downfall, because that movie was ass. The movie is so slow and it hurt me just to watch it. I honestly couldn't finish it the first 2 times I watched it, and I finally finished it for the sake of finishing it for this class. It was just a painful film. It was boring as hell. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting just because it was a movie that was being made during World War II that was obviously against the Nazis, but it was just shit. What was I gonna say? It was whatever movie. It was a noir film that was made in a different country that was just whatever. I didn't really like it, honestly. Hey, shh, it's okay, buddy. Then next, Valkyrie. That movie was just a spit at history. It was semi-relevant and it did very successfully portray some stuff, but they definitely Americanized that film and somehow made a bunch of Nazis look like heroes when in reality none of them were good people. They were all very, very terrible people that were very prominent in executions and doing terrible things, but somehow America culture somehow made Tom Cruise this main hero that was against Hitler when he was basically just a Hitler Jr. who just wanted power. So it was a very whatever movie. It was actually not bad per se. It felt like a Michael Bay film. I'm gonna be totally honest, and it wasn't Michael Bay. It just felt like Michael Bay was really behind the writing of that film, and it had a very meh everything. None of the scenes felt very hashed out. The dialogue was pretty shit, and yeah, that was my opinion on that one. Downfall being last. Downfall was just last because it was just, like I said, a boring ass movie. The Stranger, honestly, I'm going to tag in with it. The Stranger was an okay movie. I think it was just too old for my taste. Wasn't really a film that I was super into. I found it very whatever. Like, I sat through and I was able to watch it. My first watch through, unlike Downfall and Valkyrie. And then for my separate category of films, I want to have Captain America, the Black Klansman, and the Night Porter. So to rank those, Black Klansman's on top, just because it was super relevant when they made it, and they honestly, I feel like, hashed out the film for the sake of the Trump administration and all the things that happened white supremacist wise, and it was just kind of like a call out to Duke to kind of make sure everyone remembers who he is and that he's still a person who's prominent in today's culture, and he's still spitting out hatred and just these terrible, terrible things. So I love that movie. I've watched it so many times since it's been out. Captain America is definitely my second one. I love me some Marvel movies, especially not especially Captain America, but as I'm growing, I like Captain America more. I'm also putting this movie in a different category because I didn't find them very Nazi film-esque. I found them to be just this fun, miscellaneous section of cool film. And I guess Indiana Jones and Dead Snow kind of count into these, but I wanted to put them in the other list because they were just those movies. Specifically, Dead Snow is just too good. And then, lastly, I would have to say Night Porter. I have no clue what the hell Night Porter was. I watched it twice, and I still don't know what's happening. I made someone else watch it with me. The only thing I can get is that it was, it felt like a psychological film about someone with, it's not cabin fever. 1 second. Was it called? Stockholm Syndrome. It felt like an entire movie about Stockholm Syndrome, in complete honesty, about this woman who was held in an internment camp who had a Nazi who raped her and then murdered someone because he picked on her by giving her his beheaded head and made her do this weird, nasty shit. And then they like starve almost to death in a room together because they love each other so much to keep each other from being arrested, well, him from being arrested, and then only to get shot at the end. And I couldn't tell if the Nazi Max was gay or bisexual or what that whole story was. But the whole situation was just a weird story. And honestly, it was probably my second least favorite film of the films that we watched. But yes, I love this semester. I loved all the movies I got to watch. I haven't watched this many movies in so long with school, so it was fun to work them into a class. Thank you so much, Dr. Nixner, for so much, and I apologize I wasn't able to join more class discussion. I appreciate the leniency you were able to give me, and I hope you enjoy watching this video along with my other films that I recorded for each movie. I hope you have a great summer. Thank you so much for everything.